So the previous video just looked at the Office ribbon and we touched on some of these in the actual View tab. Let's look in more detail as to what the View tab has to offer. This is the normal view of PowerPoint, but every user is different and there are different styles and ways you might want to see this information. Let's start off with this normal view. You'll see that there is a column on the left hand side with all my slides here, and I can scroll down through the slides. But another way of seeing them is by clicking on this tab here. I could perhaps see the outline of them. So this is where I actually get to see the content rather than a thumbnail graphical view. I can also drag this view here across here if I want to, so it doesn't take as much of the page. Let's just go back to the thumbnail slide view. Also, at the very bottom of each slide I can add notes, and I can drag this horizontal view up here, and so the idea is this is where your presenter's notes go. So presenter's notes, introduce myself, explain where fire exits are. And these are notes that are not visible to the audience, these are notes that are visible to you as a presenter when you're showing these slides. Down at the very bottom in the status bar, if I just click the right button, you can see that there are a whole load of options here that I can switch on and off as to what I can see here on this status bar. Generally people just leave this as default, and so let's actually see what is here at the moment. It tells me that I've got a slide 1 of 6. It tells me this is the actual theme that I've used, which is the Blackboard theme. It tells me that there are spelling errors and I can just click on here if I want to correct them. It tells me the language. Now down here are a number of different views. So I have the normal view, as it's called. I have the slide sorter view, the reading view, and this is where the thumbnails are back, and the slideshow view. I'm just going to stick it back to the normal view. I also have the ability here to zoom into the slides, so by just clicking the plus or the minus I can zoom in, zoom out. I can also drag the slider here and just do it like that. If I want to just fit to the current window, press this button to the right and it fits to the current window. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to drag this down and it will then automatically resize. So that's the normal view. Let's now have a look at this ribbon and see what other changes I can make. So you can see in this section of presentation views, this is actually very similar to what we saw in the bottom right hand screen, these little icons here. So I can go to slide sorter, very useful if you've got a big slide pack of 50, 100 slides, allows you to go to the slides straight away that you're interested in, and by double clicking on any of the slides it will then take you to that normal view again. Notes page, well, there are no notes here, but if I go to one of the earlier slides, so I can just use the arrows on the right hand side, you can see that I have the actual slide notes. Here we go, presenter's notes, introduce myself, explain where the fire exits are. The reading view is not actually used that much by myself and by a lot of my colleagues. Don't confuse this with the slideshow view. The slideshow view would create this on a full screen. The reading view just allows you to look at the slides in a large view, and I can just navigate next and back here. If I want to bring up a menu, just click on here and there is a menu here as well. I'm just going to end the show and just go back to normal. Now I've got a number of master views here. We're going to talk about templates later on, but the whole look and feel of these slides is based on a template. So if I click on Slide Master, what it allows me to do is actually go and see that template. And what you can see is that there is a parent slide with children's slides with different looks and feel. As I said, we'll visit this in more detail in a later lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this master view. It's worth noting that when I went into that view, you suddenly see that I now have a new tab up here called Slide Master. So I'm just going to close that and then the tabs return and I'm going to go back to the view. There's a Handout Master View. Again, that tab has changed. And there's also Notes Master. And all of these master views we'll look at as we look at templates. Ruler, grid lines and guides. I don't actually use these much myself, but they could be useful to line up objects in the document, and they just toggle on and off. The zoom, if I click on the zoom, I can then manually choose perhaps 100%, put a specific value in, click OK. Fit to window I find very useful, but I actually tend to not use these zoom controls. I use the zoom controls in the bottom right of the screen. The color and grayscale allows you to change how the presentation interprets colors. And here we have a window area of the tab, and this allows me to rearrange different PowerPoint presentations if I've got multiple ones open. And then finally macros. So the whole idea of this lesson was really to change the look and feel of how I see my slides and how I can work through them. And I'm going to be using the normal view primarily throughout this training, with additionally the slide sorter and also the master views. Next video is now we're going to talk about how we can actually customize this ribbon.